The moon in Pisces. The native is quiet, retiring, and easygoing, is restless and fond of variety, easily changes his mind, is irresolute and not always to be depended on, is rather easily discouraged and meets with obstacles, misfortune, and opposition in life. Wow, I said a lot there. I think some of this can be true. As always, it depends on the chart. If you haven't seen your chart, you gotta look at your chart. You gotta get your life path looked into, so you have it nailed down. One of my best friends was in Moon in Pisces. One of my favorite astrologers is in Moon in Pisces. The astrologer that's in Moon in Pisces, he's working in fourth house, Moon in Pisces. He's working with the public. He's doing lots and lots of astrology readings. Very empathetic. Has sympathy for people. Was a stepfather, and on and on and on. In that regard, he was this easygoing, quiet, empathetic person, and working with lots of different people, very giving of his time. So there's that. Then there was my friend who was easygoing but very restless. This is a Gemini Mercury, stellium in the ninth house, moon in the fifth, moon in Pisces in the fifth. Changes his mind easily, not always to be dependent on, absolutely. Easily discouraged, but also is a Cancer sun, so gives a liking for reading of a romantic or emotional kind, for poetry and music that appeals to the emotions and feelings. This guy was a charmer, my one friend. So especially with that moon in the fifth, Venus is exalted in Pisces. Poetry, creativeness. A lot of actors and actresses will have this. Speaker, writer, or composer. The native is fluent, copious, imaginative, and diffuse. Again, goes along with performing. Neptune. He inclines to be religious, but is more likely to be emotional than intellectual, to feel rather than to reason out. So if there's not anything else in the chart, if you have a lot of fire and a lot of water, you may be very religious and have a hard time getting away from religious sentimentality. There's no other intellectual aspects in the chart. And you may be not so much not so much of a reasoner, more of a feeler. He is sometimes wanting in buoyancy and hope, is too serious or too easily depressed, and may lack matter-of-fact common sense and humor. There may be a tendency to intemperance or dissipation, laudanum, drinking, etc. I don't know what laudanum means. But you think certainly Moon in Pisces can be have issues with addictions like alcoholism. Mediumship, clear dreaming, and various psychic powers may manifest themselves. It softens the frame and increases the fleshy and glandular structures. It is not favorable for robust health. There is danger from secret enemies. The native may himself not be quite straightforward, and there is liability to detention in hospital, poorhouse, prison, etc. But the worst effects will not follow unless there are accompanying bad aspects or other indications in the nativity. Generally speaking, Pisces has a rap for being a weak sign, and that's where you get these things like alcoholism, hospitalism, prisons, and having just bad things happen in life. Now, on the flip side, if the person is very giving, humble, service-oriented, and is able to actualize that in life, a lot of these things can be avoided. We may now definitely establish in our mind the idea that the sun represents the positive center from which the true life is flowing, and that the moon is representative of the receiver or the negative and magnetic point. So he just adds a little something there about the moon. The moon, and think of the moon in Pisces, very, very sensitive, very much a receiver to uh, to all kinds of energies, which would do well for the Pisces people to embrace their Virgo throughout their life. So that is Moon in Pisces. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the Moon in the progress chart coming up next.